Okay. All right, so plugging in y minus 5, that's just one of our y values, equals 1/2 x minus -2, which is x plus 2. We'll do distributed property. We get this. Now, our final answer needs to be in slope-intercept form, which means I need to get y equals, so I have to get rid of the minus 5. So I'm going to add 5 to this side and add 5 to that side. So I get y equals 1/2 x plus 6. All right. Now, if you use the other form, which like I said is my preferred one, but it really doesn't matter as long as you do it correctly. Either one will get you to the correct answer. We still have to start with our slope. So we already have our slope is 1/2. But now instead of using this y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, we're going to use standard slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in what I know, which means I'm going to replace the slope. And just like over here where I used a specific y value and a specific x value from those points, I'm going to use a specific x and a specific y. Remember, x and y have to solve the equation, right? I mean, the whole point is we're writing an equation that goes through these 2 points, which means these 2 points have to be a solution to the equation. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug them in and say, okay, I know they are a solution, so I have my y value. So let's use 4 and 8 this time. So my y value is 8. Oops. Equals my slope, which is 1/2, times my x value, which if I use 8 as my y value, that means 4 is my x value, right? Looking at that second point, 4, 8. Plus b. And then from here, I'm going to multiply those. Half of 4 is 2, so I get 8 equals 2 plus b. And now I'm going to solve. I want to find out what b is, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get 6 equals b. Now remember, though, that be careful, that's not our final answer. That is just the y-intercept. So now I have the slope, and I have my y-intercept. So now I can just plug into my equation. My equation for slope of a line is y equals the slope, which is that 1/2, times x plus the y-intercept, which is 6. So I get y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Either way you do it, you get to the same answer. It's just 2 different ways, 2 different means to the same end. Now, there's a third option, which is not the best option. But if you ever get to the point where on the test you're really stuck and you're like, I cannot figure this out, I don't have a clue what I'm doing, the other option you can do is you can do it graphically. Now, the problem with a graph and the reason why it's not the best option, graphing takes time. On a test, what you're not going to have is tons of extra time that you're just like, la 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 la, I've got nothing to do now. So I think I'll draw a graph. Okay, so this is just a, hey, back up if you get stuck, skip to the ones that you know how to do, but if at the end there's one and you're just like, I just still don't know how to do this one, you can try coming back and doing a graph to help you with it. So if I look at this on a graph, what I would do is I would graph the 2 points that I was given. Sorry. So the 2 points we were given for this one was -2, 5, and 4, 8. So I would graph -2, 5. So that's that point. -2, 5. And then 4, 8 means I go to the right 4 and up 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I have these, and then I can graph the line that goes between them. And now from a graph, I can pick out my y-intercept very easily. If you're looking at any of the graph questions from the homework, the y-intercept's the really easy thing to pick out there because it's where it crosses the y-axis, right? So here you can count and see that my y-intercept is 6. Oops. And then my slope from a graph, you can still get 2 points and do the y value minus the y value, the x value minus the x value. But if you've got a graph, the easiest way to do it is you can just count. So like I could count like between my y-intercept and say this point, I have a rise of 2, 1, 2, and a run of 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is my rise 2 over my run 4, which of course reduces to 1/2. Always make sure when you're looking at a graph, there's 2 things you should be able to pick out easily from a graph. The first thing is the y-intercept. It should be easy to see. Unless your y-intercept is not a whole number and it crosses somewhere in between, then your y-intercept should be really easy to see on a graph. The second thing you should always be able to notice very easily from the graph is whether your slope is positive or negative. Okay? You'll have to count to actually find your slope, but the reason I tell you to always look at whether your graph, whether it's positive or negative, is because it's really easy when you're counting the rise and the run to not pay attention to whether you're counting up or down, and you may say the rise is 2 when really you're going down 2. So always look at your slope first and go, okay, has a positive slope, y-intercept 6, okay, positive, let's see, I'm going up 2 over 4, so 2 over 4 is 1/2, so positive 1/2 is my slope. Y-intercept is 6, which means the equation of the line is y equals the slope, 1/2 times x, plus the y-intercept, which is 6. And ta-da, exact same equation, third way. So there are lots of different ways to do this. Again, some are quicker than others, but all of them will get you to the same answer. So you've got a few different options. I mean, the nice thing about this unit is everything kind of builds together. I mean, everything that we've looked at is kind of really related, so you can do things different ways. Same thing's true if you were looking at the graph ones on the homework. I know I had one person who turned in their homework that said, I need help with these, and didn't do any of the graph ones. Well, hey, guess what graphs have on them? Points. And if you can do the ones where you have 2 points, and you have to find the equation between 2 points, well, guess what? If you have a graph, pick 2 points on the graph, and then you can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, find your slope. Then you could actually plug in and find your y-intercept, although, again, if you've got a graph, the y-intercept should be the easy one to pick out. So it works both ways. If you're given a graph, you can go to the points. If you're given points, you can go to the graph. So know that you have those backup options if you get to that point where you freeze up on the test and you're like, oh, I knew how to do this and I can't remember. There are other options to get there. All right, so here's what I want to do today. So question number 13 on 8-8 practice. We're looking for the points, the line that goes through 9, -1, and 6, -2. So, first thing we need to do is what? Cole?
Subtract the y2 and y1 and x2 and x1.
Okay, so what's that going to be? What minus what?
-2 plus 1.
Okay.
And 6 minus 9.
Okay, good. So -2, the second y value minus the first, but since it's negative, that makes it plus. So -2 plus 1, and then the second x value minus the first, so 6 minus 9. -2 plus 1 gives me -1, and 6 minus 9 gives me, and -1 divided by -3. Jake, that's very entertaining, but probably not really what you need to be doing right now. So negative divided by negative means my slope is really positive 1/3. Now, once we've got our slope, what do we need to do from there? What do we need to do once we've got our slope? Stanton? Plug it into what? Okay. Like just when I called on you just now, you lost your voice? I'm messing with you, Stan. All right. So do you use the slope-intercept form or the point-slope form? Slope-intercept. Well, we'll go with that one then. So we have y equals mx plus b. The things we know are, we know what m is, and we know one thing that x and y can be. Or really, we have two choices. We have two different options that we can plug in for our x and y. So, which x and y do you guys want to use? 9, -1? All right, so we're going to use this value and plug it in. So, girls. So, my y value is going to be -1 equals my slope, which is 1/3, times my x value, which is 9 plus b. So, we can go ahead and do 1/3 of 9. What's 1/3 of 9?
3.
So I get -1 equals 3 plus b. So to find out what b is, I have to subtract 3. So I get b is -4. So now I know my slope and I know my y-intercept. So now my equation is y equals 1/3 x. And since it's -4, it's going to be -4. All right, so other questions from the 8-8 practice. Ones that you need us to go over, Cam. Number 9. All right, so this one's looking at a graph. So we have all right, so it's going through this point right here. And then, let's see, it looks like it also goes through this point. And that point. All right, so this is our line. Once again, I think the ones from a graph are the easiest to do because the thing that's hardest to find in all the other ones is what? What's the hardest to find, the slope or the intercept?
Y-intercept.
The y-intercept. With a graph, the y-intercept's just like staring you in the face. It's like, hello, I'm the y-intercept, look at me. So, it makes it a lot easier that you have the y-intercept just staring at you. Y-intercept is positive 1. Guys, then your slope is positive or negative?
Negative. Positive.
Positive. It's going up. Okay.
Goodbye.
All right. So it's going up 2 over 1. So slope is 2 over 1 or 2.
Did you take